bias. The assumptions we make, the perspectives we carry, and how they shape the way we see other people and the world around us. But instead of trying to point fingers or say what's right or wrong, this space is about slowing things down, about having honest conversations, sharing real experiences, and trying to understand what lies beneath those first impressions. So whether you're here to reflect, to challenge your own perspective, or just to listen, you are welcome here. This is Beneath Bias, unveiling one story at a time.
Welcome to another episode of Beneath Bias. Rather than hearing from us today in this special episode, DDRN correspondent William Odinga takes the mic to discuss Uganda's puzzling lack of solar energy and the effects this has on the population. We want to thank William and Mr David Kureeba for contributing such a fascinating episode, and we hope you'll enjoy it as much as we did.
Too much sun, too little power. Uganda sits astride the equator. It's one of the sunniest countries in the world. Yet, millions of Ugandans remain energy poor. How can a country with so much sunshine still have little power? Welcome to the show. My name is William Odinga. Joining me is Mr. David Kureeba from the National Association of Professional Environmentalists, or NAPE, one of Uganda's leading environmental organizations. David has worked at the intersection of forests, biodiversity, climate change, and environmental justice, issues that lie at the heart of Uganda's energy transition. David, you're welcome.
Thank you, William. Once again, my name is Kureeba David. I work with the National Association of Professional Environmentalists, NAPE. And like you have said, I've been at the center of coordinating forest and biodiversity, elements of energy, especially just energy transition, elements of waste management, and then campaigns on hydropower. Thank you.
On average, every square meter of land in Uganda receives about 5.1 kilowatt hours of solar energy every day. With today's photovoltaic technology, a 1 square meter solar panel installed almost anywhere in Uganda can generate about 1 kilowatt hour of electricity every day on average. Yet solar contributes just 2% of the country's electricity. For most Ugandans, the real energy challenge is not switching on the light. It is cooking the next meal. About 90% of Uganda's energy comes from biomass, mainly firewood and charcoal. But this overdependence comes with heavy environmental and social costs. The consequences are visible with Uganda's forests. According to NEMA, that is the National Environment Management Authority, Uganda has extensively lost its forest cover over the last 20 years. Actually, they tell us we've been losing 80 to 100,000 hectares, per year, with firewood and charcoal being main culprits there. The contrast actually becomes even more striking when we compare Uganda with Denmark. I'll give you this. While Uganda receives 70% more solar radiation than Denmark, Denmark generates about 30 times the energy from solar than Uganda. Why isn't Uganda using solar energy? Why isn't it using more? Why is it failing to exploit one of its greatest natural resources? More broadly, why do countries with abundant natural resources sometimes struggle to turn them into fundamental pillars for growth or for prosperity? And what would it take for Uganda to change course? The choice Uganda makes today could shape not just its energy future, but also its forests, its agriculture, its resilience to climate change, and the health and well-being of the people of Uganda.
Oh, thank you, William. When I hear these figures and the story that you have talked about, the abundant solar that we have in this country, the amount of firewood, the amount of charcoal that is gotten from forests, which are actually primary drivers of climate change, it tells the story that the leadership need to pull up the socks. How? If we have 5.1 kilowatt per hour of solar compared to Denmark that produces 30 times, it means then we need the political will. What do we exactly mean? You need to import these solar panels, have them in the country, not at a very high cost.
Before we go to the political will, give me a picture of this Ugandan woman when it comes to energy. How do they go through their life?
Oh, thank you very much. And now that you have asked about the African woman, I'll go to the rural woman. The rural woman is very energy efficient. One, lighting is from firewood and charcoal. Food is from lighting, from firewood and charcoal. Very few families have got very small photovoltaic solar panels of energy that light for only 10 minutes or 1 hour. But when you look at the cost of, for example, Uganda has rural electrification, wires of hydro run over their head, run through their communities, run through their homes, but they still struggle to get even the light from 7 up to 9 in the evening. So the rural woman has to sleep very early in the evening, very early, sleeps like chicken. You know, it's chicken that actually are in their areas of overnight stay at 6 and 7. The same thing that happens. This rural woman struggles to breastfeed the kid in darkness. This woman struggles to cook in darkness at night. There is a lot of solar that we have said. This woman struggles to even actually give a meal to the husband. Husbands usually come late. After 10 up at around 11, they have been having friends out there. But when the husband comes at the time of giving a meal, it is done in darkness. You're struggling with paraffin, you're struggling to light, firewood to ensure that this person gets light beyond the production light. But light, I mean energy for production, but just light. So if you look at the rural woman is the person that is suffering when it comes to energy deficiency, and given the energy mix that we have in this country, that is not exploited.
And we're talking about firewood, but even that has become scarce from where I've seen.
Thank you very much. You know, like you have mentioned, this country loses 2% of the natural forests in Uganda here. That is between 80,000 to 100,000 hectares. So you can imagine now, at that rate, given 48 million people that we have in this country, consuming that one, and they are not planting, remember. The planting is not happening. If planting is not happening, and you are just harvesting, where will one eventually harvest? And it is happening out there in the communities, you will find a small piece equivalent to 1 meter is 1,500.
In the village.
In the villages in the Western Uganda where I come from. Now, you need around 8 to cook a meal. 1 meal minus beans. Beans are very hard.
So so there are meals that you have to forego.
Very light meals. You need 8. 8, that means you are talking about 12,000. Where does this rural woman get 12,000 in to prepare a meal? But now, given that farms, they are all first, you don't simply go to somebody's farm to get firewood. You go there, you pay a penalty, or you end up even being incarcerated. So firewood is becoming a disaster in the communities.
So we're talking about
problem.
More than 90% of us, depending on biomass.
Yes.
But then that is also scarce.
But biomass is not there. It used to be there, but it's not there. Even when they are 90% depending on, it is pseudo dependence. You're depending on it just by figures, but it is not the actual. The meals that used to be cooked used to have 3 meals in a day. In the morning, you have breakfast, you have lunch, sometimes evening tea, but then dinner. But because of energy deficiency, it is not easy now. Where do you get the firewood? You need 36,000 to prepare those 3 meals in the morning, lunch, and evening. How much do you earn in a month? How much is earned in a month?
And here we are talking about sunshine. All through the year, a lot of energy that is out there for us to tap.
Yes.
You were talking about leadership. Let me take you back there, please.
Yes. About leadership, this is where the challenge comes in. that the country will pump a lot of money in coming up with a hydropower dam to produce electricity, of course, with a lot of corruption. And a kilowatt will be produced at a very high cost beyond the affordability of the local person. What does that mean? That you have a lot of energy, like the president has always said, but the consumers are not there. The average Ugandan here, the so-called middle class, they don't use cookers. They don't use electricity. Some of them bought cookers. They use them occasionally. You can't afford to use a cooker for a month. How much money do you earn? 1 watt now, I think they are sold in watts, is 1,000.
Yeah, and
you need 6 to 7 watts to cook a meal. If you are to cook beans, you have to cook meat here. You have how much money is that? 7,000. Then times a month. Then how much do you earn? And that is not the only thing that is cooked. You need to light. You need to heat. There are quite a number of things. So the government, with that I was talking about, they end up investing in ventures which actually benefit the middle people other than benefiting communities.
Do they then benefit the middle class or some?
Not the middle class. No, I'm talking about the middlemen.
Okay.
Those who bring the deal. You come and construct a dam here, you will have this percentage, I'll convince the government will allow you to construct the dam. Those are the people that benefit from most of these deals in this country. It is not the local person, neither even the middle class people. It is the person who connects the deal, who goes between the investor and the government. Investment there are certain people that determine whether you should invest or not. And there are certain people that can connect to that. And they are the people who benefit from it.
So meaning we have a challenge whereby priorities are set aside, priorities which would have been for the big number of us are put aside for the benefit of a few. And that's what I'm learning from you.
The priorities here are not set based on community interest, on community placings. They are based on like the global arena, the high class. There are people who don't feel the cost of fuel now. While the fuel now is 7,000, 8,000 in the villages, which has an impact on everything. The cost of living is so high because of the cost of fuel. But there are people who have never felt that it is expensive. It is you, William, myself, and these people around here that are paying for their fuel. I mean, they are into Guzzlers, 4,500cc vehicles, and they are using the card. You put the card, put a full tank. When it is finished, they simply top up. Those who never feel the impact. It means even when our legislators are in cabinet, even in parliament, they don't legislate based on this rural woman that you are talking about. They don't know that this rural woman, because of the fuel, the expensive fuel, they will not. Some of these products will not reach them. First of all, some infrastructure is not in place. Much as you would think about, fuel is expensive, but can this person, for example, have an infrastructure where a vehicle can come and pick matoke if they this point to growing matoke? The road is not there. The roads are not motorable. So, government legislation does not do it in favor of energy in order to address the impacts of climate change. Climate change largely emanates from environmental destruction, particularly forests and trees.
Okay. We have our abundant sun, our sunshine.
Yes.
And you've seen this rural woman really struggling to cook a meal.
Yes.
Walking kilometers to get firewood.
Yes.
And then having to cook it and then serve it in darkness.
Yes.
What should be done?
What should be done is the government subsidies. Because these things are not manufactured here. They are not manufactured here. I would say that we start manufacturing. No, we need to have the technology for making these batteries. The batteries are made here. That's fine. We have the regulators. They can be made here. Some of them can be imported. But we have the photovoltaic, these panels that convert into the battery. And we have the inverters. We just need to have government subsidizing some of these equipment, some of these materials. And people are given loan. You see, like the way the government is talking about the PDM. PDM is something that should be that should be a little bit edited to make sense, other than giving people money that end up, But if they could set up a plant and it works as a feed-in tariff and it supplies very many people, that would work. Because if you have one center, you put panels, you generate, then you can supply to different people. That would be a long time benefit to communities rather than giving 100 millions to people, and people, some of them end up in marrying the second wife, the third one, they buy beer, the other one clears school fees, the other one buys even firewood for cooking. The money is finished, and the whole community remains as it was formed.
You're not talking about subsidies. I've seen, actually, the people seem to be moving faster than those who are leading them. You go to the villages and then you find them with those little solar things, mostly basically for lighting.
Yes.
But there's a lot that can be done with solar energy. So maybe you're right that you need to look into this.
Yes.
Can we subsidize or can we install larger plants to supply energy?
Yes.
I agree with you. Maybe we need to look at a new direction
Absolutely.
to solar.
Absolutely.
How are the policies in place? Are they really promoting this kind of energy?
The policies are in place, but they are not pro solar. If you're talking about energy transition, the transition would be now we are moving from destructive energy sources.
Exactly.
We're talking about fuel. Because now if you look at the Paris Agreement, it talks about reducing the use of fossil fuels because they emit a lot of carbon that goes into the environment and causes that global warming and climate change. So if you are reducing and we are into solar vehicles, you have seen motorcycles that are of solar origin. But then, where do these motorcycles eventually get their power from? It means now it is induced demand. You want these motorcycles that you have to use the battery, but they are chosen by thermal. Thermal, you have these big generators like ESCOM, they are generating power and sending it to the grid. Why don't we now have those solar outlets and they send the same power to the grid free of charge, as opposed to now these generators demanding for diesel and petrol? You see, this is why the government has it wrong.
And I think they have set up a few partnerships. There's one in Karangara, so maybe they just need to do a lot more than that.
Yes, there's one in Karangara, but they didn't give it enough force. They didn't give it enough power. They actually weakening it. Because in Karangara, they are running on thermal. Much as there is in Kuzindu, I've visited that site. There is in Kuzindu, they have put a solar panel site. They are generating some power, which goes to the grid, but it is not sufficient. Much of the power that works in Karangara, they use these very big generators. But of course, with the government, they always want to just on face to show that they are using solar.
To show that they're using solar,
Actually,
which is really unfortunate. But the resources here, it's abundant.
It's very abundant, 24 hours almost. 24 hours almost. But we don't exploit it. Simply because of the very... I think it's the goodwill. It's the goodwill of the government. Because now if they put the cost a little bit affordable and promoted them at community level, because they can do, we have trading centers. It is all about promoting them at central level. Central level, even though you distribute central level, then you distribute. The way power is done, you have a transformer here, you distribute. You have a transformer, you distribute. The same thing would happen with solar, and would use it time immemorial, because this is the free good.
I'm also wondering, actually, because when you talk about subsidies and so on, it still keeps us dependent on those who have the technology. But if you have this natural resource, what does it take to develop local capacity in terms of technology to be able to tap this natural resource?
In terms of technology, local technology, it would take a lot of time. But there is already existing technology that is in place. Actually, even developed by a fair African sea, and in Nigeria, there are some people that are making these solars. In Kenya here, the technology is around here. In Ghana, the technology is there. It is all about investing in the primary technology of making these photovoltaic power panels, and you have the batteries, you have the regulators. The rest, you are talking about waste management from the clean energy, just that. And these panels take more than 25 to 30 years before they are decommissioned. So now it means you will be decommissioning once in every 30 years. You plan for that and make sure that all these panels are either recycled or they are treated in a manner that they will also be refurbished and be brought back. That wouldn't be a problem. But the biggest problem is the will to have the initial technology of having the plant here. That's why in some countries where you have technology that assembles Rather than importing vehicles or importing something, you have the technology to assemble. Murwana has a battery assembling plant. It is much better than importing batteries, because it means even you have creating employment, some waste management, you have people employed around that work, but also the cost is not so high because you don't have to import, and in case of anything, they don't break along the way. So we just need to import and buy the technology. We'll have to buy it at some point. There is no good shortcut of saying that we start from we were not going to reinvent the wheel of getting the technology of making the solar panels. No, the technology is already there. Let's invest money in buying it. We bring it here. We train our boys here. We train our own children. They develop it. We have the minerals here, and we roll. That's all.
Okay. Today, the challenge actually we have is that we just don't have to talk about energy alone. We have to talk about clean energy. There has to be energy for us to use, but also it has got to be from clean sources.
And just clean energy. It has to be just.
Maybe unpack the just part.
The just is that being affordable. Just energy, it's like the way it should be affordable, it should be manageable, it should be reach out, should leave no one behind. Because if it is not just, then it will be owned by other people. It should be community or nationally owned energy. Just energy transition. Not that you have transited, yet the person who brought the transition is based in the America. No, that would be not a just transition. Just energy transition. It has to be just.
We're looking at Vision 2040, which promises us a lot of things.
Yes.
David, you've moved around the world. You've talked about energy transition. You've seen things in different places.
Yes.
From the poor countries to the rich.
Yes.
If we have this conversation, just imagine we have this conversation in 2040.
2040.
What would you want to see by that time?
Oh, what I would want to see, one, is that I want to see the country maximally utilizing the solar energy that we have. We have it free of charge. Why would we leave it run? Like the way we treat rainwater here. It runs, all the water is there that we can tap, that can be used for production. It runs and gets into Mediterranean Sea. Then in the dry period, we are struggling to get the water. No. 40 years from now, I would want us to see.
It's about 14 years from now.
Yes. I would want to see people accessing, tapping into this solar really, making use of it. I would want to see this rural woman, not in darkness at night, this rural woman using energy, because that is a form of energy, cooking, using that solar to also iron for the child going to school, to use that energy to ensure that now the phone, that this person is connected, can even tell the weather that it's going to rain tomorrow morning or it is going to shine. Because internet is a right information. It means now to get the information. In internet, this woman needs to have internet.
And remember, we're also farmers.
Farmers.
So probably irrigation as well.
Even production, the meteorology. Because very many farmers, they just guess. But with the technology, you would know that tomorrow it is going to rain. The other day, we shall have 2 months of sunshine so that you don't throw in your seeds and they die free of charge. You see? So with the energy in the communities, you would see this woman happy, putting the seed in the soil and being able to harvest it. Coming at night and put a switch and the light comes. The phone is calling, and also these phones have light. You can use the same light and torch. But also you see the kid smart. And also, because these ones can also use as warmers. In the morning, these kids would not go with eat very cold food. You'd switch on the inverter, food is warm, and the kid goes to school having taken jam-free food.
Thank you so much, David. It's been so nice hosting you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
We'll be happy to catch up with you again on these very subjects about renewable energy, about sustainability. I'm so happy to host you today.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.